Hey guys, it's your girl Mina Q, and welcome back to another Love is Blind recap and review. But before we get into that, make sure you get into my channel and like, comment, and subscribe, and join me because there's way more to do here than just talk Love is Blind. But since we're talking Love is Blind, let's go ahead and get into it. So we had a great Cabo vacation, but now we're back to real life, and we are cohabitating in DC. This episode, Ashley and Tyler go talk to Ashley's dad, and we get to see a little bit about that dynamic because she had mentioned earlier how she wanted a guy who was not like her father, and he seems like a nicely well-dressed, well-spoken kind of a guy who might talk you out of your little Calvin Klein panties if you give him the chance. So she seems like maybe she wanted a guy with a little more like down to earth, just heartfelt. Even though her dad did come off like a very sweet guy, she probably wants a guy who's a little bit less of a fast paced kind of a guy. But either way, their interaction is really nice. He does end up giving Tyler his blessing to marry his daughter, but lets him know that should there be an issue, he will pull up. But it was actually really cute and very sweet, and looks like they're moving forward pretty happily in their relationship. Ramses and Marissa go to meet some of Marissa's friends, and we are back in another conversation about the military, of course, because that's what we do, is we talk about the military on Love is Blind Military Edition is what we're clearly watching. So in this part of their little conversation, her friends are basically getting to meet Ramses, and they're having a nice little talk about how their relationship has been going. And it gets brought up again about the military and their differences. Now, a couple of Marissa's friends are actually in the military, so they kind of like, babe, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, sis. Let him go. Because how does he not like the military? You're part of the military. They part of the military. They don't want to hear that. They feel like she don't want to hear that. It's just giving that her friends are not on board. They're not feeling Ramses' vibes based on how he feels about the military. And it's a little awkward at the dinner because of it, but they seem to move forward. And honestly, Marissa and Ramses seem to be unfazed by it for the rest of the episode. They kind of just move on into like how they care about each other and how they want to have a life together, and that's pretty much it. But it definitely seems like something that will probably come up again because it's come up so many times about the military in general, but their specific connection and their differences about it seem like something that we're probably going to hear a little bit more about. Taylor and Garrett go to visit Taylor's place, which is actually a really, really cute spot. And you can see through her place that Taylor is about her business. She's working. Her refrigerator ain't got nothing in it but intentions. Intentions to purchase food, because there was nothing in there but a little bit of wine, okay? But we know how Taylor is. We know she's type A, probably a very, very busy lifestyle. And it seems like Garrett's like, hey, this is all cool. I love your place. I think it'd be better for you to come live with me in Fredericksburg while we're kind of working through where we're going to end up ultimately, which for Taylor is San Diego. And that's where all of her family is. And she really wants to raise her family out there and move her life over there. And Garrett is a little on the fence about it because he has a very, very close relationship with his family. He doesn't want to be very far away from them. But at the same time, he really loves Taylor. And he's like, I'm open to doing that and moving to San Diego for you because I want to be with you. And it was actually really nice that he kept that space open for her. And it seems like we'll see more about how the San Diego move is going to affect them and if that's something that they actually do go through with. Tim and Alex get to the point where now it's time for Tim to propose to Alex, but through her father. Now, we found out in the pods that this was a big deal for her, that she really wanted her father to be a part of this, and it would matter a lot to him in terms of them being able to move forward if he was addressed before they were actually engaged. So as we saw, Tim wrote this very beautiful letter that was supposed to be read to her father, and now we're at the point where it's time for the letter to be read. So they come up with a little bit of a plan where it's like, hey, let's not come in with a full court press energy of Love is Blind. Let's bring it down to like a 2, and let's just let him know we've been living together and we've gotten really close. And they have a nice plan on how they're going to do it. Now, Alex's father does have a mess, so they come up with a way that they can communicate this and not have to have him moving all about the house. Just everyone else in the family is going to go take a little bit of a walk, and Tim will have an opportunity to talk to her dad. And he does get that opportunity. And let me tell you, when Tim read this letter to her father, I mean, you couldn't have a heart in your body and not have been just like, falling apart at how beautiful of a moment that looked like through her father's eyes. He felt very just appreciative that someone would love on his daughter in this way. Like that was very much what it was giving in terms of his reaction. And it was a very, very sweet, heartfelt moment between them two. And of course, he does end up giving them his blessing. And it just seems like finally a joyful moment in the story and saga of Tim and Alex. And it was really, really precious that he wrote that note. I feel like that was probably one of my favorite moments of Tim's, and there are few. But I guess he did one thing right in the way he approached how he wanted to go about asking her father if they can be married. Hannah and Nick. Now, in this episode, we get to see where Nick lives. And as we know, Nick lives with his family in his family's home in the basement. These are all things that he has told Hannah before they got to this moment. And honestly, I feel like there's a natural like levity that can happen between a couple, and they seem to be able to joke, but she has a lot of jokes about his living situation, and it's coming off like she's a little bit of a bully. And I'm not really understanding it because her entire issue in the pods was feeling like she didn't want to feel underappreciated or bullied in any way or treated differently. But that's 100% of what she seems to do with Nick. There's a lot of jokes made at his expense about where he lives and their lifestyle and what it would look like. And it seems like it's something that Nick is taking on the chin. But baby Nick, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, you got one more joke, babe. You got one more, because this whole thing has been a joke to you. It's starting to feel very uncomfortable with their interactions because there's a clear hierarchy in her mind of who and how they are, and it's not looking cute. It's definitely giving bully energy. They continue throughout the episode, and Nick comes home from work, and for whatever reason, he comes home from work in a very nice outfit and then goes and changes into another business shirt. Nobody knows why. It was very strange. But when he comes in, she's feverishly cleaning the house. Hannah is like, oh, this place is so disgusting. It's so dirty. She's clearly a neat freak, which is fine. Keep your house clean. But she comes in with a lot of questions for Nick. I mean, off the heels of him coming in the door. He's barely sat down. All you see majority of the episodes is Nick taking these very big gulps in his throat. Like his throat just... He's just trying to swallow all of the words that he is not going to say to Hannah because Hannah is so out of pocket. Ain't no pocket. That's the situation with Hannah. But she comes to him and she's like, okay, so are we splitting the bills? Great. So you're going to take what bills? Because you don't have any bills, right? Okay, so we'll do this and I'll pay for this and you'll pay for that. I mean, this is a lot. He just walked in the door, baby. He been working for 8 hours. Give him a second. Give him a drink. You haven't given him anything. He's just sitting here, throat dry, probably stomach hungry, and you ask him about the rest of your lives together? Feed him. Or at least be like, can we go out to dinner and talk about our relationship? This man has not had anything in his soul. And here you come with everything. So they sit there and have this very... again, like hierarchical conversation about how she's been taking care of herself since she's 18. She knows what's going on. Nick does not. The only bill he pays is his car insurance. How many of their bills are they going to pay? They talk about groceries being $300 a month or $300 a week. I'm sorry. And he's like, $300 a week sounds a little steep. It does sound a little steep. I don't know what it's like over there in DC. I know here in LA, I'm going to spend at least $100 a week. $300 is a lot. 300 is a lot a week. I don't know. If you're going in the middle aisles, you might spend 300, but baby, stay on the perimeter. On the perimeter where the fruits and the veggies are and things like that. If you stay there, it won't be $300, I assure you. But nonetheless, Nick is like, I think that's pretty high for groceries. But ultimately, she's like, look, what are you planning to do? You gonna get on my insurance? You gonna get on my phone plan, or you staying with your parents? Nick is like, I'm gonna stay with my parents, probably. If I don't have to pay this bill, why would I pay the bill? She's like, I want you to be an adult. Adults pay their own bills. I've been doing this since I was 18. Nick is like, all right, man. All right. What else? What else, babe? Like, what else? He takes it all in stride, but it kind of looks like his spirit is getting just slowly dwindled down by Hannah. She's wearing him down. I don't know if this is purposely or unintentionally, but babe, if you feel this way, just let him go. Let him go. Let him go be with somebody that actually wants to be with him. Because right now, it seems like you're just wasting his time and your time. Now for my favorite, least favorite couple, Monica and Steven. So Steven decides that he is going to take Monica on a date to, I guess, make up for the fact that he hasn't gotten her any flowers. They go to this shop where they can do some pressed flower arrangements, and she seems over the moon about the experience. However, throughout this date, it seems like Steven's just going to have to be a yes man for this relationship. I mean, if he doesn't say yes to the things that she wants, it's like a full fit gets thrown every single interaction, and I'm not understanding why he hasn't picked up on that. But regardless of that situation, he's still here and he's still trying. And at some point during the course of being on Love is Blind, he has lost his job. He lets her know, like, hey, I lost my job. I'm going to be working on it. She's like, hey, babe, it's okay. I got you. You're going to be my husband. I got you. And that seems like a pretty safe bet for them. But at the same time, he starts to say he's having some kind of feelings about how serious this relationship is and what a big deal it is to decide to get married ultimately. And when he says that, she says, okay, well, I'm not sleeping with you until you're sure that you want to marry me. So she pushed the kibosh on the entire intimacy part of their relationship. And it seems like, regardless of whether or not that is the reason, everything we thought about Steven in the beginning comes to pass. Now, y'all remember back in the pods when Steven was like, yeah, I was flirting with intention. Remember how I said, that sounds ridiculous. You don't sound like an electrician. You sound like a liar. Well, it looks like his job as a liar has come full circle. Because at some point during their interaction, I guess he decides to go to a sleep test. And during this sleep test, he ends up texting some woman a bunch of things that he wants to do to her. And they're very graphic, very not someone who is getting married like. And through some means, Monica finds out, and she finds all of these text messages. And to her, she's like, I don't even believe you were at a sleep test. Girl, are you out of your mind? Of course he wasn't at a sleep test. The fact that you're still even entertaining that he was at a sleep test is crazy. Also, if somebody was doing a sleep test, he just decided on a sleep test. This wasn't something you guys talked about. This wasn't the plan for him to not come home for this sleep test. Like, let's use our common sense, please. Because right now we're not using any of it. So she's completely distraught. And in the biggest upset of the season, oh my gosh, they break up. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Steven and Monica breaking up? Oh no, girl. He told you he was a cheater and you said, well, there's a lot of reasons why people can cheat. Babe, you don't excuse cheating. You don't excuse cheating when you don't know the man and you want to marry him and think he's not going to cheat on you. He told you this is what he does. But obviously, it's very hard for anyone to get intended to cheated on. However you would say that, it was probably very difficult for her because she felt like I was going to marry this man. But I want everybody to keep in mind, and her specifically, you didn't like this man for real. You didn't like him. You wanted a man, but you didn't like Steven. And honestly, Steven is a sex addict. He's been a sex addict. His entire conversation throughout the season is all about sleeping with you and talking about sex and saying some of the most graphic sexual things that I've ever heard on Love is Blind, ever. He is a sex addict. Surprise, surprise. I don't know. So they broke up. And that's how it ended. But in a very, very cute and sweet, like endearing moment, Taylor and Garrett came to her aid to kind of like comfort her. And I really love seeing Garrett there too, because it was nice for him not only to support his girl, but just to show that he can be a very sensitive and understanding person when it's not just Taylor. And that was a nice way to end the episode, because I was done with Monica and Steven. And I'm so glad it's over. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. Now I'm just waiting on Hannah and Nick to be done. I'm waiting on Alex and Tim to be done. I want to get these people out of here. I'm sick. But until next week, when we find out how Love is Blind is working out, thank you guys for joining me, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode.